Alright, so it is kind of dark under here today, but I am trying to get my bar length right going across here, trying to make a cross member with the guidance of Cody. We got this transmission mount, and I decided to go away from the factory one because he had talked about how low it would hang down below the frame rail, and I do think that would look kind of sloppy and goofy. I'm just really not a fan of that stuff being seen. Just like I'm not a fan of an air dog being seen from outside the truck, or a trans cooler or anything like that. Like, everything tucked looks very nice in my opinion, so I'm trying to make that happen with this. We're trying to get our bar length right so I can put plates on each end and then run like through bolts essentially, but that's currently what I'm working on. I gotta take a little bit more length out of this bar to compensate for our plates that go on each end. But that's what I'm gonna do next. So I'm gonna shave this down a little bit, get the plates lined up in there, and then make some alignment marks and get it tacked and see what we're working with. I want to give you guys a little update where we're at with it. So we got our trans mount bolts, our front drive shaft loop. Obviously I had just the straight bar, and then I looked, I was like, oh hey dummy, I gotta put the front drive shaft's gonna hit it, so we put one of our front drive shaft loops just in the crossmember itself instead of bolting to something else, and just, yeah, you get what I'm saying. But this is what it's gonna look like, and then it'll obviously bolt to the frame. But it's looking pretty good. I'm very excited. Cody's really helping me out a ton on this because I had no idea what to do, and turned out pretty sharp. So we're going to mock it up, make sure it fits, and go from there. Okay guys, we are back here Sunday to continue with our video, and I've basically just filmed, so I want to give you guys a rundown of where we are at, what we're doing. So putting a trans in, I didn't really talk much because it's very self-explanatory. You just do it the same as what you took it out. So what I did first was I pulled my heat exchanger over there out. I would really, you don't have to fill me in on why I should keep my heat exchanger. I don't want it. It's not staying there. I don't need it. I put in my adapter plate, but before to that, I needed to replace my rear main seal. So I replaced my rear main seal, put my adapter plate on, put all the bolts in with Loctite, and hit them with the 1/2 inch Milwaukee. We're good to go there. Put my new stamped steel SFI flex plate in, and made sure we were all good to go there, and then put the trans on. I'm using a DPC, diesel performance converters, reman triple, so it's a DRM3 triple disc. I believe this one has the dampened hub to soften lockup, or the lockup shift, or engagement, whatever you'd like to call it. And then the trans goes on. Put the converter bolts in. Those come with the new converter, red Loctite, all of those. Smack them with a 3/8 drive Milwaukee stubby impact, and we were on our way. So after all that was up there, we then had to put our transfer case on, and that's whenever we found out that we had to the input of the transfer case needed to be shortened because it would not engage all the way. So here is how much we cut off, if this will focus. And then whenever you shorten it, you have to remake this profile right here with the grinder or a burr bit, which is very easy. Somebody just spins the output shaft of the T-case with the drill while you're on the front, and that's how you cut it as well, so you get a straight, even cut. And then taper this outside a little bit as well. It's about 1/2 inch, or about right on the money at 1/2 inch. So that was another modification we had to make. Just wanting to try and fill you guys in on all of the modifications we had to do to put a 47RE and MP241D in our first gen. Next up was our trans cross member. Basically just took a trans mount from Summit or Jegs. I had to burr bit the slots in here and widen them up a little bit so I could fit my bolts in, but it fits perfect. And then put our new bolts in with these nice tabs. I will throw in some pictures as well. These nice tabs, if they'll there we go. And those bolt right up and weld onto the pipe. They have the contour of the pipe, which makes it really nice and makes better contact with everything. And we just have plates on the ends with our built-in somewhat of a drive shaft loop. Usually whenever these things let go, it's because of this joint, so this should keep it from going into the cab or anything like that. And yeah, looks pretty sharp. I'm happy with it. I was worried about how much flex it would have, but in all reality there's very little flex. And we use an identical looking design on all of the race trucks. Trucks that make 2,000 horsepower use the same design, so this truck will be just fine. And let's see, yeah, I'm very happy with the drive shaft loop. This crossover, you can't just go by. Don't comment asking if we will make it or I will make it or anything like that. You got to come up with something on your own. This stuff takes time to make, and I am not a fabricator, so I don't make these or sell them. Our front drive shaft does fit, and it fits very well actually. It might need to be It might need to be shortened, but right now it works pretty well. I'm gonna measure the length and confirm that I'm in the safe zone and it's not compressed too much, but it definitely will compress more, so I don't think I'm gonna have any bind up issues. I want to change the front yoke to a different size yoke and get a bigger U-joint there. And then the next problem we have ran into, this is the same yoke as the front axle, so this is actually a smaller yoke than what the MP205 would have, so I'm gonna end up taking this off and getting a bigger yoke so I can use the same size U-joints, if not bigger, than the ones that are on our factory drive shaft. You can kind of maybe see the difference. It's dark under here and I don't have my flashlight, but this yoke is bigger than that yoke. So, and this uses the same size U-joints on each end. So we got to fix that. Should not be a problem. Derek said you just go buy an MP205 one, is what he did. I'm sure I will do something similar. Here's our speedometer. It just goes right in. It's plug and play. So we're good right there. Our shifter, also plug and play. I mean, I don't know. I hate the design of these, but I'm gonna just roll with it for now. I will end up changing it up at some point in time, I would assume. But for now, we're leaving it. Our dipstick tube, the 518 dipstick, does not, or well, for me, did not fit. It does not fit in the trans. I do not want to use an O-ring, and that's what kind of seal they use right there. They're not as skinny as, or small diameter as the 47 dipstick tubes. And yeah, I would rather use the nice seal than just a little O-ring, because those always leak, at least in my luck. And then I had to try 47 and it did not work with the firewall or anything. It wasn't even close. So now it has a locking dipstick in there. It's really hard to see, and it also is not ideal at all, in my opinion. I've got to figure something out there. But really, where we're at now is we're going to mount the trans cooler, which I'm under the passenger side, right, or the driver's side right now, and this is the front of the bed, and I'm going to mount it right here. I thought about mounting it right here on the frame. I thought about mounting it on the inside of the frame. What happens is I'm too picky, and you can see how much higher this sits on the frame, and so much of that trans cooler is exposed and I cannot handle it. I do not like that stuff to be seen. Same way with if you put a lift pump on a truck, I don't think it should really be seen. I'm going to try and keep that same thing going. So we're going to get nutserts and drill holes and put those in, and then just bolt up our trans cooler and try and run our, we'll run 90s out of it so we can run on the inside of the frame rail all the way up to here, and then we will come over off the frame rail and go into our ports on the transmission, and then we can fill this thing, run it through the gears. Well, not really run it through the gears, but just fill it, and since I have a front drive shaft, we should be able to back it out of here under its own power today. And the only questionable part that I'm not sure if I'll be able to is I've got to figure out plugs for where the heat exchanger was. I don't know if I need to loop those or put plugs in them and just plug them off, but right now there's no coolant in the truck, and I don't know, I'm gonna have to let it idle for a minute. If the guys are here, it'll be a faster process with filling the trans. So if the guys are here, I'll send it, but if not, I'm gonna have to put coolant in it because it'll be running too long for my liking with no coolant. But besides that, that is the update as of for Sunday. I wanted to fully catch you guys up since I had not really talked at all. I've done a poor job of filming. Buddies were here. I really appreciate all the help from Lars and Luke, and then Brett as well in the past weekends, helping me out. Cody for all the advice as well. He helped me with a lot of stuff. So I am going to continue. I will show you our trans cooler while I'm at it, and then we're going to get after it. So if you want to bear with me for just another second, this is the trans cooler. It's a CNR trans cooler. They're very, very nice units. This is a used one that does, I mean, it's still perfectly good. And these are the Fire Punk trans cooler mounts that are adjustable. Really, really make your life easy whenever you're mounting them to frames or anything like that. So I highly recommend these. It's good bang for your buck and helps you tuck your trans cooler wherever you may want it. So obviously you can see all the adjustability here, and then you can also flip these things around to where, like how they bolt up, how instead of these being on the inside, you can have them on the outside. You just flip them. I'm sure you guys are kind of understanding what I'm saying. But yeah, we will bolt that up, wire it up, and we will be golden. I don't know if I'll wire it up today because I want to wire everything and do like fusible link delete and stuff, but the trans is not going to get hot enough to need this thing today anyway. And I'm going to pull the truck out. So the truck is going to go out under its own power. I got a starter put in it. That's the same one I used in the shorty to do the test fire on it. So the starter's in. The dipstick tube needs adjusting. It's just not right. We got fluid in it. I had a little bit of a spill because one of my cooler lines wasn't all the way tight, so we got that taken care of. It's got pretty much the right amount of fluid in it. I haven't really checked it. I just went off feel, and then we will probably have to, once we get our dipstick situation figured out, we'll go from there. But you can see my trans cooler looks good. The lines are behind the frame. I'm going to once some like line organizers come in, I'm gonna put those on it and clean that up. I've got some wiring to do. My neutral safety switch wiring was not right, so I've got what I need to do. I just don't have the time to do it this evening. I'll probably work on it this week, and I want to get a video out for you guys. What else? We're gonna have to get the anteater and get it installed. So a bunch of little miscellaneous things like that. We got to get a rear drive shaft, but right now front drive shaft is in. It's locked in 4-wheel drive. It moves. The truck is going to leave under its own power. Basically, the swap itself got it done in a weekend, but not entirely. So if you're trying to do this in a weekend, that is going to be very difficult unless you are super prepared, and I was just really not in a rush. So based off where I'm at now, I'll get the carts moved and then I will video me pulling it out, but there's not going to be any driving, no comparisons in this video, obviously because we have stuff left to do, which is part of it. So hopefully you guys liked this portion of the video, or portion of the series. We will be back with more, with buttoning everything up and just getting out on the road, driving it, and then we will put it back on the dyno to see what it does as far as power and power gains or power losses.